Hello everybody, this is Qesheth again in 93. I'm here with the next in the series of talks I've been doing on the Major Arcana and the Path of Return, discussing the Path of Initiation as revealed in the cards of the Major Arcana. In this talk, I will actually be discussing path number 12, Atu 1, the Magician, that connects Kether, the Supreme Spiritual Self, and again I'm talking this in terms of our spiritual makeup, to keep it simple, which connects Kether, our spiritual center, with Binah, the Great Mother, the Treasure House of Images. She takes the ideas as the supernals and gestates them while she gestates them while they prepare to go into manifestation. Okay, I will start out like I always do with a reading from the Sefer Yetzirah. The 12th path is the intelligence of transparency, because it is that species of magnificence called Has Shasit, which is named the place whence issues the vision of those seeing in apparitions. That is the prophecies seen by seers in a vision. So this is and again, we talked about the paths being subjective. This is the power that the seer taps into, the prophets tap into. This is the place whence issues the visions of those seeing apparitions. I'm going to start out with a reading one of the holy books. I'm a Thelemite. I'm going to start out with one of the reading of the holy books, which is Liber B Vel Magi, Liber 1. And if you don't want to really hear this whole spiel, then you can go ahead and fast forward this video. This is very relevant to this talk about this card, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. One is the Magus, twain his forces, four his weapons. These are the seven spirits of unrighteousness, seven vultures of evil. Thus the art and craft of the Magus is but glamour. How shall he destroy himself? Yet the Magus hath power upon the mother both directly and through love. And the Magus is love, and bindeth together that and this in his conjuration. In the beginning doth the Magus speak truth, and send forth illusion and falsehood to enslave the soul. Yet therein is the mystery of redemption. By his wisdom made he the worlds. The Word that is God is none other than he. How then shall he end his speech with silence? For he is speech. He is the first and the last. How shall he cease to number himself? By a Magus is this writing made known through the mind of a magister. The one uttereth clearly, and the other understandeth. Yet the word is falsehood, and the understanding darkness. And this saying is of all truth. Nevertheless it is written, for there be times of darkness, and this as a lamp therein. With the wand createth he, with the cup preserveth he, with the dagger destroyeth he, with the coin redeemeth he. His weapons fulfill the will, and on what axle that turneth is not known unto him. From all these actions must he cease before the curse of his grave is uplifted from him, before he attain to that which existeth without form. And if at this time he be manifested upon earth as a man, and therefore is this present writing, let this be his method, that the curse of his grade and the burden of his attainment be uplifted from him. Let him beware of abstinence from action, for the curse of his grade is that he must speak truth, that the falsehood therefore may enslave the souls of men. Let him then utter that without fear, that the law may be fulfilled. And according to his original nature will that law be shapen, so that one may declare gentleness and quietness being a Hindu, and another fierceness and servility being a Jew, and yet another ardor and manliness being an Arab. Yet this matter touches the mystery of incarnation and is not here to be declared. Now the grade of the Magister teaches the mystery of sorrow. The grade of the Magus, the mystery of change. The grade of the Epistemist, the mystery of selflessness, which is called also the mystery of Pan. Let the Magus then contemplate each in turn, raising it to the ultimate power of stability. Excuse me. Okay. Let the Magus then contemplate each in turn, raising it to the ultimate power of infinity, wherein sorrow is joy, and change is stability, and selflessness is self. For the interplay of the parts hath no action upon the whole, and this contemplation shall be performed not by simple meditation, how much less than by reason, but by the method which shall have been given unto him in his initiation into the grade. Magus. Following which method, it shall be easy for him to combine that trinity from its elements, and further combine Sat Chit Ananda and light, love, life, 3 by 3 into 9 that are one, in which meditation success shall be that which was first encumbered to him in the grade of practicus. Here is nothing under its 3 forms, and this is the opening of the grade of Epistemus, and by the Buddhist it is called the trance of Nirad Hamsampati. And woe, 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 yea, woe again, woe, 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 unto 7 times be his that preacheth not his word to men. And woe also be unto him that refuses the curse of the grade of Magus, and the burden of the attainment thereof. And the word chaos, let the book be sealed. Yea, let the book be sealed. That's a beautiful book. And it does really pertain to this particular talk. Again, I'm talking about the Magus card. In the previous talk, we talked about the High Priestess. Remember, I had previously talked about maybe just doing all these paths together in the supernals because they're so complex. At this level of initiation, of spiritual awareness, once you reach the supernals, you're coming to the place of the archetypes, the place of the original ideas. And the ideas here flow together because everything contains its opposite in the supernals. Before manifestation, all things are contained. It's kind of incomprehensible, but all things contain their opposites. And then as we go into manifestation, these opposites are divided. I am divided for love's sake. These are the words of Nuit. Okay, so this is the magician. I'm going to go back to my notes because I'll always get sidetracked if I don't. This is the magician or magus at path 12. It connects Qesheth, the supreme spiritual self, with Binah, the great mother. She is the storehouse of the images coming from Qesheth. He is the great organizer, the magician, okay? Organizing the energies coming from Qesheth and willing them into manifestation. The light of spirit passes through his will, like the prisms that are cast when we pass light through a crystal. So think about that whole analogy, passing a light through the crystal. And so think about that, how that has to do with the light of Qesheth passing through his will and being directed into manifestation. The title of this card is the Magus of Power. The Hebrew letter is Beth, okay, meaning house. enclosure of the Spirit. He is the house for the indwelling Spirit. This is the letter that the Jewish God used to create the universe according to the Zohar. So if you ever if you've ever studied the Zohar, all the letters come before God, wanting to be the first to, be chosen as to be the first one to be used in creation. Because remember, the letters represent what? The outer forms, and the numbers represent the essence. So I'm probably getting ahead of myself on that one. So all the letters came forth. This creator being chose Beth, house, but kept Aleph as the first letter. Aleph being the full, which will be the next talk I do. Spirit, air. So, and this is the first letter in the book of Genesis. Bereshith, in the beginning. But interestingly, during this process, Aleph, like I said, remains as the first letter. The planet, remember we talked about this, or I talked about this, we have 7 planetary paths, 4 elementals, and 12 zodiacal. So the planet is Mercury. Mercury is a planet of communication and, interestingly, of agriculture. So think about that, as shown in his rulership of the earthly sign Virgo. He also rules the last sign of spring, Gemini, the twins. The symbol for Mercury contains the symbols, and you can see it here, for the moon, the sun, and Venus. Union of sun and moon bringing forth manifestation. And remember, Venus also rules the path of Daleth, where these ideas are birthed into being. The path name is the intelligence of transparency, showing the swift, unperceivable action of the mercurial force in creation. He is transparent, meaning that the uninitiated cannot perceive his actions. Okay, so the uninitiated cannot see the laws of karma in action. They cannot see the mechanics of the universe because they have not reached certain levels of initiated consciousness. Like the metal Mercury, so I don't know if anybody's ever seen Mercury. When I was a child, back in the old days, I won't say how old I am, but I'm old enough to be stupid enough to play with Mercury. My cousin used to have a jar of Mercury, a little baby jar, back in the Gerber baby jars, and we used to get out and play with it and roll it around in our hand. It's a metal that appears to be liquid, and it's very swift. So like the metal mercurial, like the metal Mercury, his action is very swift. Mercury is a reflective metal. So if you ever seen Mercury, it's like a mirror. And as a matter of fact, earlier mirrors were coated with mercury. So it's a reflective metal, showing that all manifestation is but reflections, though distorted. One must look beyond the reflections in order to perceive his action. He is the first matter, the first principle, the philosophic Mercury, the prima materia. He is the first vibration, the primum mobile, the first motion. He is the will, the word, the vibration that begins the swirling motion of the universe. He is the one moving to zero, okay, on the path of return. On the path of the manifestation, he is the one moving to the 2, to the 3. So think about that. Every number, he is the essence of all created things. He is the will of all created things, because he goes from 1 to 2 to 3. But in all these numbers, 1 is the base number. I'm not a mathematician, but anyway. Showing that he is the original essence of all manifestation. Also, interestingly enough, on the path of return, you have Malkuth, right? Malkuth, the manifested universe. Number 10, the 1 to the 0. meaning that once the things come to full manifestation, then it's the path of return. I talked about that in an earlier talk about uh, the universe is made up. Everything is recycled in the universe, so everything is continuously recycled, and that's kind of the what the symbol of the pelican we talked about. I talked about that, and I always say we, but because I used to do these classes live, and so uh, it's pretty common for me to say we. And so we talked about the path of the pelican on the Empress card, how so she feeds her children. The ancient ones believe that she fed her children from her breasts of her own blood. And we know that's not true now. But anyway, it just shows the recycled energy that she's feeding, that which energizes the universe is a continuously recycled energy, being coming into manifestation and returning, coming back into manifestation and returning. Okay. Here's the will to form. Beth is the house, the container of spirit. The Roman Mercury or the Latin Mercury is also a trickster, showing the tendency to misinterpret the word. Remember, I talked about the word. After all, he is both wisdom and folly. He represents our stepping forth in the beginning and pronouncing our will, our word for each incarnation. Our great work in this incarnation, of course, is finding that lost will or word. And that is one of the big goals of Freemasonry. One of the things in Freemasonry is finding the lost word. And many of them won't find it, of course. A lot of the esoteric stuff has been removed from Masonry. But that is kind of the goal, to find that lost word. Many people don't even understand what that means. That means, why were you incarnated? What is your purpose for being? There is no incarnation is irrelevant. Each one of us is trying to find our purpose for being. If you're watching these videos or you're an initiate and you're following this journey, you are on that journey of finding out your will, finding out your purpose for being alive. Again, the magician directs the light coming from Qesheth. For the universe, as I talked about in previous talks, is composed of light at different frequencies. This light contains the information that he receives and transmits. Okay? So up here in the three negative veils of existence, you have Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Or. This is unlimited light. And all these are concentrated in Qesheth, the first swirling. And so he takes this light and he receives this light and he transmits this light. So we know that light can carry information, that light carries information. The light from the sun actually carries information. This is a secret of many of the initiates know, that the light from the sun doesn't just carry light, it carries various frequencies of light and it carries information. An example of this being fiber optics, which receive and transmit energy using what? Light. He is the weaver of the illusion. So God is so this God, this creator God, is the great magician. He is weaving this illusion. So he is for all manifested things are but reflections of the original idea. He is the messenger, not the creator, but the bearer of the will. So this card also represents the word, right? We talked about the word. Evocation. Our words have a very powerful effect on our reality. Magicians know this. The proper vibration of words can cause changes in the physical universe around us. And so it's very important for us to watch our words, because they can become manifest, especially if they're said with force. A magician can use his will and his word to manifest reality. Over my many years of working with various magic, I do very little big ceremonial magic anymore. I've learned to project my will through my word and manifest things. Uh, in the book of the Magus, it's kind of funny, when we that book I had read earlier at the start of this talk. Uh, he oh, I was going to try to find it again here real quick. I'm sorry. He says, for his weapons. Okay, so one is the Magus, twain is his forces, four his weapons. But then they go on. He goes on to say, these are the seven spirits of unrighteousness, the seven vultures of evil. Thus is the art and the craft of the Magus, but glamour. How shall he destroy himself? So at a certain point within your initiatic journey where you'll abandon many of the tools, many of the crutches that you have used along your path. But at the beginning, of course, you need to use them because they help you to learn to focus your attention. Okay, so it's very crucial. Okay, so we're going to discuss the card a little bit. Let's see what we have here. Just give me a second. As you know, I'm not the most I say this every talk. I'm not the most technologically advanced person. I just kind of do the best I can using my camera on my phone. And so we're going to look at Waite's card real quick. Let me get this in the other hand so I can work my computer, my notes. Okay, can you see that okay? I believe that you can. Okay. In Waite's card, we have the magician standing before an altar with the symbols of the four elements. The wand represents will, Hakma, fire, Yod, the Yod He Vav He, okay? The male creative force. The cup, understanding. The receptive feminine, water, Binah. He, the Yod He Vav He. The sword, air, the Ruach, Vav, the sun, the intellect. The pentacle is the earth, the receiver of the will. So it's the various combinations of things that bring things into being, where the various energies are brought into manifestations in various combinations. Okay, and so I wanted to point out at the bottom of the card here, I'm sorry, I dropped the card. We have roses and lilies. They both represent two different kinds of love, passionate love. The lilies represent a more pure love. For the work of the magician is what? Love. For by love he bindeth together all things in his conjurations. And the rose and lilies also remind me of a verse in the book of the law that states, there is love and love. There is the dove and there is the serpent. Choose ye well. Okay, meditate upon those words a little bit. And another thing is somebody has pointed out to me, the rose can also represent the phallus and the lily, the yoni. So in all these symbols, you have that uniting of the masculine and the feminine, the conscious and the unconscious. To put it in psychological terms and make it simplistic to understand. Venus is Daleth, who receives the will to the magician and the priestess. She is the result of their coupling. And the reason I point that out is because she is what? Love. And in her love, she binds this and that together. Okay, so the double wand of power that he's holding overhead, he's drawing the forces of Kether into manifestation. He has the white inner robe, the white of Kether. The outer robe is the red of Binah and Ataluth. And the serpent around his waist, the Ouroboros, is the blue of Hakma. He also has the infinity symbol above his head. And turned upright, it's 8. It can also refer to Hod here, okay? And remember we talked about these paths earlier on. These are the paths of the personality. Here Mercury manifests in the Sephiroth as the intellect, where Netzach is the instincts. Okay. Let me look at Crowley's real quick. Crowley's is always a little bit more complex. Lady Freda Harris really had a problem getting this card right for Crowley, so she had to do it and redo it. And I saw some of the earlier attempts, and she was a beautiful artist, but Crowley was totally unhappy with her earlier attempts. You can see this is a far more complex card. In Crowley's card, we have the magician surrounded by the implements of his trade. So he's not just standing, he's active. He is Mercury, Hermes, Thoth. He is willing everything into creation. Uh, he is the Roman Mercury, the Greek Hermes, the Egyptian Thoth. Dang, I keep. And the Norse Odin, the Indian Hanuman, as well as the Egyptian Osiris. And interestingly enough, the mythologies of all cultures have stories of divine beings that bring knowledge of writing, agriculture, and advanced civilization. Okay? Crowley states that this card therefore represents the wisdom, the will, the word, the logos by whom the worlds are created. He goes on to say that he represents action in all forms and phases. The lines, you see these lines coming everywhere here, are the lines of the universe going in all directions. And they are the fiber optics that I spoke about earlier. And when I was a young man, I was able to study some writings by a anthropologist named Carlos Castaneda. He was initiated into a secret society in Mexico, where he was pretty much taken under the tutelage of a shaman who directed him through various levels of initiation until he could actually perceive God directly. And there's pretty interesting books if you ever get a chance to read them. There's been some controversy surrounding them, but I have people that can verify the writings to be authentic. Okay, so in this card you see the cynocephalus right here. Okay, the constant companion and shadow of Mercury, representing the word and its distortion or misunderstanding as it moves into manifestation, showing that creation is an illusion and God is the great magician who weaves it. And so it's the word and its distortion or misunderstanding. And I'm reminded of the adepts of all the major religions of the world, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, and how during their lifetimes, very little of what they taught was written down. For example, Muhammad, most of his writings, and Jesus, the writings weren't even written down to 30 years after their death. In that period of time, the adepts had plenty of time to distort their teachings and their knowledge. And so you got these organized religions. You look at Buddhism, for instance, with the various sects of Buddhism and the various teachers, the word was distorted. Through time and through incarnation, the original message of these holy men was distorted. Crowley says this: no true image is possible at all, for firstly, all images are necessarily false as such, and secondly, the motion being perpetual in its rate, that of the limit, the rate of light and stasis, contradicts the idea of the card. Okay, so in this card also, you see the symbols for the, let me put it back up here for you. You see the symbols of the four elements, which he uses to manifest his will. The staff is the mercurial staff. You see it here, crowned with the winged disc here. And so that represents the Anja chakra, or the third eye chakra. So when the initiate reaches this level, he's a totally awakened being. He holds a stylus and a papyrus here, see, here and here, to record and transmit the messages he receives from Kether. These transmissions in the form of symbols or hieroglyphs are the symbols that are communicated to our unconscious. These are the Akashic records. You see the phoenix wand here of the chief adept. The phoenix represents what? Resurrection, rising from the ashes. The two serpents on either side here, see those? Represent the Ida and Pingala currents that run along the spine of the Sushumna. The downward triangle represents the downward motion of spirit as it moves into creation, or it moves into greater density. The wings on his feet represent the going of spirit to go, the continuous movement of spirit. They also appear to be the heads of the Egyptian bird, the ibis, which was in Egyptian mythology, the symbol of the ibis was attributed to Thoth, who also brought the hieroglyphs and writing to the Egyptian people. The ibis was a symbol of meditation because of its habit of standing very quiet and still. The word of creation whose speech is silence. Okay. That's what we'll go on to the next few things I have to say about this card real quick. So, this card reminds us that we are all magicians and that we are all creating reality. Our only limitations are those that we have placed on ourselves. Our veils become more opaque as we take incarnation and accept the manifested universe as reality, and become more fixed or programmed in our ideas. So the great work is deprogramming. And that's very hard. It takes a long, being raised in a Christian family, it took many years for me to deprogram from that programming, and it's very hard. We have to master the forces of our own unconscious, that we might better create a better reality for ourselves and the world around us. We are all magicians. The world is the realm of infinite possibilities, brought into manifestation through will. And something I'm always reminded about, I was discussing this with some people here a while back. You think about the stories of people who perform superhuman feats, like lifting cars off people. Uh, you know, just these superhuman feats that you hear about. Why? Well, science says as well they get this big burst of adrenaline, because of the whole moment. But the initiate knows better. These people, during this time of crisis, forgot their limitations. They totally forgot that they couldn't do that. You live in a universe of unlimited potential. All things are waiting for will to be acted upon by will to manifest. We like this magician, we also direct this light into manifestation. For this information is being continuously fed into our unconscious. And as we grow in our journey and become more adept at the manipulation of this energy, this light, we are able to better align ourselves and become in harmony with the Tao and become aligned to our true purpose for being. So the initiation of the Magus is the initiation of Hakma. So that's something I can't stress enough, and that's one of the hardest things for us to come to terms with, is that we live in a realm of unlimited possibility. There's nothing that's impossible. I'm reminded of the words of the Master Jesus, for instance, where he says, if you say unto this mountain, be uprooted and cast to sea, it shall be done. If you have the faith of the... So what he was pointing out to his initiates is that reality is not fixed. It is a creation of will. And we, like as the world it is today, the reason the world is today is because the combined will of the population has created it, basically. If you want a better world, make the changes within yourself and your thinking. Every day you should wake up, visualize how you want the day to be, speak out loud everybody should start their day like this. And then, you're speaking out loud because we talked about this being word, invocation. We understand vibration. The universe is made up of various levels of light, vibration, frequencies. And so we speak our word every day. Wake up. Visualize intently how you want that day to be. From the time you get out of bed, what you're going to do next, what you're going to do next. But, speak this word. Speak it. And then at the end of the day, keep your record and see how much of it manifested according to your will. And so there's a law of chance involved too. So this will be a real fun practice. We're going to go ahead and look at the attributions real quick for this path. Taken from 777. The stones are opal and agate. The plants are vervain, herb mercury, marjoram, and palms. The animals are the swallow, the ibis, and the ape. The magical power are miracles of healing, gifts of tongues, and knowledge of sciences, and also prophecy and visions. The vegetable drugs are cerebral excitants. Cerebral excitements. I guess that would be cocaine or caffeine. The perfume is mastic, white sandal, mace, storax. The magical weapon is the wand, the catechus. The wand and the catechus wand. And I didn't put the holy book in there for Mercury in my notes because I scanned through my notes as I'm doing these classes to keep myself on track. Because I can get off, because one thing leads to another in these talks, and you can get way sidetracked. So I'm looking here. The holy book for this path is Libra 7, chapter 5, the Mercury chapter. So again, this card on the path of creation, of course, he is the magus speaking. He is the will of the Creator coming into manifestation. On the path of return, the initiate has become the magus. He has taken the initiation of magus, and he is preparing for his union with the all. The initiation of Episimus, the initiation where the man is God. Let's go ahead, and I guess we'll go ahead and finish this little talk up. I hope you get a pretty good understanding. At this level, these cards are very complex. And so I'm just what I'm trying to do is just keep it as simple as I can as we go about. From the Book of Thoth. The true self is the meaning of the true will. Know thyself through thy way. Calculate well the formula of thy way. Create freely. Absorb joyously. Divide intently. Consolidate completely. Work thou omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, in and for eternity. And with that, I'll wrap up this talk. If anyone has any further things they would like me to comment on this card, please leave them in the comments. Hope this gave you a pretty good basic understanding of this card. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and end this talk. 93. And again, tune in for my next talk on the Fool.